In the news as of recently, we've been exposed to various radical notions about the boys' locker room. Now, we at Tesseract don't aim to debunk these theories, but rather to explore the gray zone that hasn't been touched upon. Before we explore this dark subject, we'd like to quickly summarize the entire incident for those who have no knowledge about it. The boys' locker room was a group created on Instagram in Delhi. The members of the group were teenage boys, mainly from 11th and 12th grade. In this group, inappropriate pictures of underage girls were shared, and they were objectified, body shamed, and defamed. There were even plans to gang rape these girls. The boys responsible went as far as threatening to rape any girl that exposed them. The Delhi police, in response, started a probe and arrested the admin of the group. A PIL has also been filed against them, and further matters will be taken care of by the CBI. A controversial term that has come up often in popular media ever since Donald J. Trump's infamous locker room comment in response to accusations of sexual harassment is locker room talk.
Your store, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything.
Pull the hell.
That is sexual assault. You brag that you have sexually assaulted women. Do you understand that?
No, I didn't say that at all. I don't think you understood what was said. This was locker room talk.
It refers to a conversation that takes place when there are no women around to listen. Specifically, in male-exclusive spaces, such as locker rooms, where men feel that they can talk about women in whatever degrading and disrespectful manner they please. A safe space for misogyny and even objectification, if you will. It may even go as far as people describing the ways in which they will sexually assault women, as we can see in the video clip. Despite many people regarding this as not being much of a problem and something that can be taken lightly, locker room talk is in fact quite damaging and harmful to society. For one, it perpetuates a mentality that not only dehumanizes women, but teaches men that degrading women makes them more of a man. The larger issue is that many women and elders are completely complicit in these conversations, and more often than not, simply let them slide by excusing it as boys being boys. This, in turn, creates an atmosphere in which adolescent boys see this as a natural and even an expected way to behave, thus creating the same kind of mentality in generations to come. You might be asking what the problem is here. The problem is that this is the kind of behavior that propagates rape culture in our country. It begins with just passing an objectifying remark on a photo after screenshotting one without someone's consent. The minute that they think this is okay, it turns into catcalling and eventually even rape. We need to realize that rape is not always a crime of sexual desire, but a crime of power. People who commit such an offense usually want to establish their dominance over someone else and try to control them. But here's the thing. The process of gaining control starts with something as simple as taking a screenshot without someone's permission. Even if the boys and girls taking screenshots don't turn out to be rapists, what does happen is they make remarks that portray their victims as objects and drastically diminish their self-worth. This is where we start to make women extremely uncomfortable and make them think that all of their self-worth depends on their physical appearance. Now we need to understand that we are also part of the problem. A lot of people screenshot things and send them to others, and even though the comments they make may not be misogynistic, it is still considered hurtful because we have not gotten their consent. Now this is something that we need to be held accountable for and stop. And here's the worst part. The boys' locker room was just one chat. thousands more with the same intention still exist. And this is where a society's role in a child's upbringing, and most importantly, parents' attitudes towards their children, need to change.
I just see the overall personality. I don't see कि अच्छा इनका कमर कितने का है उनका उनकी you know it doesn't even strike me. So I think small-minded people, and we've been encouraged as a society to look at a woman first as a body. And अगर जब तक वो change नहीं होता ना, I think there's very little that will change.
But it is time for girls to get the freedom that they so rightfully deserve. It is time that we move on from battling fear and actually solve the problem. Protecting your child might help you individually, but it will have no impact on society. It will have no impact on the sexual predators that will continue to look for victims. It is simply delaying the inevitable, because rapes will still happen. If it's not your child, it's someone else's. We need to first start solving the root of the problem, which is eliminating sexual predators that exist in today's society. Most importantly, as parents, it is very important to have a mutual understanding with your children. It is important to build some kind of a connection with them so that they heed your advice. In India, it is very common for parents to shy away from conversations relating to social issues such as rape and racism, to the extent that they never end up being touched in the living room as a subject of conversation between children and their parents. This attitude is what needs to change. Parents should be talking about these kinds of issues with their children. It is a parent's job as much as it is a school's or even a society's to ensure that their child is educated about the ramifications of rape and what exactly it means for the victims and people involved. This is the only way the rape culture can be entirely eliminated. Protecting children and coming up with reasoning for their actions is not going to change the fact that rapes will keep happening and people will continue to be abused. Coming to the issue of the girls' locker room, what they are doing is extremely disgusting and proves that not only should parents educate their boys not to do such things, but they need to tell their girls as well. This behavior cannot be accepted regardless of gender. Now, what's interesting about this is the way that it came out. Information on this story came out shortly after the boys' locker room incident, and all because men began to feel attacked. Here's the thing, we really need to stop with the not all men excuse, because there are in fact some men who need to be held accountable. And as long as men continue playing this card, we will never witness genuine change wherein people admit to their mistakes. And what's ironic is, if you really weren't one of these men, then you would be chastising what they did instead of playing this card. This was an interesting perspective that we wanted to provide, as critical as it may have been. But this information had to come out, so that fewer people resort to behaving like this in the future. Here's a question to the audience. If the intentions of doing something are bad, but the results are good, then how are we meant to look at a situation? The bottom line is that we shouldn't simply look out for the guys or girls who are being sexually assaulted when we need to dig up dirt on others. We need to be going about this every day to save people and better their lives. This situation was definitely a disturbing one, and all the perpetrators should, without doubt, be held accountable. This case has revealed that some of the accused victims were revealed to be racists and homophobes from the texts in their group chat. Furthermore, the boys were from the elite class, and they knew that their parents would handle the situation if it were ever exposed. The reveal of the Snapchat conversation about a rapist was also horrible. And these people should be held accountable and should be reprimanded as well. But the fact that people use this as defense for the boys who were part of the case is beyond our understanding. In the case of the boys' locker room group chat, this doesn't make their actions any less harmful. At the end of the day, it is extremely shocking to us that people are madder at imperfect feminism than they are at systematic misogyny. Please like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos.